6 months had passed since the Unity fleet withdrew from Earth space. The Galactic Council's cultural observers had arrived as promised, along with trade negotiators, diplomatic staff, and various bureaucrats whose jobs seemed to involve writing reports about everything humans did. At first, the constant observation had annoyed people. Now most humans just ignored the aliens walking among them, treating them like unusual tourists. Daniel Brooks sat in his office on Unity Station, reviewing the latest reports from Earth and the colonies. His job had changed dramatically. Instead of begging the Council to recognize humanity's rights, he now spent his time negotiating trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and technology-sharing programs. It was still frustrating work, but at least now he was treated as an equal rather than a child needing supervision. A message appeared on his screen. Ambassador Sorkal was requesting a meeting. Daniel smiled. The elderly Methian had become something of a mentor, helping him navigate council politics and avoid the worst bureaucratic traps. He accepted the request, and moments later Sorkal's hologram appeared in his office. "Ambassador Brooks," Sorkal said in greeting. Their translation device rendered the words in a warm, grandfatherly tone. "I have news that I thought you should hear directly." "Good news or bad news?" Daniel asked. "That depends on your perspective," Sorkal replied. "The Council has been monitoring humanity's progress closely since granting sovereignty. The results have been quite remarkable." Daniel leaned forward. "Remarkable how?" Sorkal's hologram shifted, bringing up data displays. "In the past 6 months, human scientific output has increased by 300%. Your engineers have developed 17 new technologies that our experts considered highly improbable. Your exploration teams have established 14 new colonies, more than any species has achieved in their first year of sovereignty. Your trade networks are expanding faster than our economists predicted possible." "We have been busy," Daniel admitted. "Turns out humans work a lot harder when they are working for themselves rather than being told what to do." "Indeed," Sorkal agreed. "But there is something else, something the Council did not anticipate. Your presence is affecting other species." Daniel felt a chill of concern. "Affecting them how?" Sorkal pulled up more data. 3 Council species have petitioned to revise their own protection protocols in the past month. They see what humanity has accomplished and are asking why they cannot have similar freedoms. The Brevix Collective has demanded an end to Unity oversight of their military development. The Crystalline Consensus wants permission to pursue research that has been restricted for safety reasons. The Aquarian Federation is requesting independence from Council economic regulations. "They want what we have," Daniel said slowly, understanding dawning. "They want what you demonstrated was possible," Sorkal corrected. "For thousands of years, the Council has operated on the principle that younger species need guidance and protection. That principle went unchallenged because no one had an alternative to compare against. Now humanity exists as living proof that species can thrive without Council oversight. You have become very inconvenient examples." Daniel thought carefully before responding. "Are we in danger? Is the Council going to try to suppress us to prevent this from spreading?" Sorkal made a sound that the translator interpreted as laughter. "No, Ambassador. That opportunity has passed. If the Council tried to reimpose protection protocols on humanity now, it would validate every species that claims Council oversight is about control rather than safety. The Council is trapped by its own principles. So what happens now?" "Change," Sorkal said simply. "Slow, careful, bureaucratic change, but change nonetheless. The Council is forming committees to study humanity's development model. They are reviewing protection protocols for the first time in 3,000 years. They are considering reforms that would have been unthinkable a year ago. You have done something remarkable, Ambassador Brooks. You have shown the galaxy that another way is possible." Daniel felt the weight of that responsibility. "We did not set out to change the galaxy. We just wanted to be left alone to make our own choices." "The most profound changes often come from simple desires," Sorkal observed. "Your species wanted freedom. In claiming it, you reminded the rest of the galaxy what freedom looks like. Many of us had forgotten." After Sorkal disconnected, Daniel sat thinking about the conversation. He pulled up images from Earth, from Mars colony, from the new settlements on distant worlds. Humans building, creating, exploring, pushing boundaries. Not because anyone told them to, but because it was in their nature. His communicator chimed again. This time it was Admiral Kate Morrison calling from the Roosevelt. which was currently 3 systems away on an exploration mission. "Ambassador," Kate said when the connection established, "I wanted to give you a heads up. We just made first contact with a species the Council has never encountered. They call themselves the Wanderers. They have been avoiding Council space deliberately because they saw what happened to protected species." Daniel felt excitement and concern mixing. "What are they like?" "Independent. Suspicious of authority. Determined to chart their own course," Kate smiled. "They remind me a lot of humans, actually. When I told them about humanity's deal with the Council, they got very interested. They want to meet Council representatives, but only if humans can vouch for them." "We are vouching for alien species now?" Daniel asked, half amused and half worried. "We are showing them that dealing with the Council does not automatically mean losing freedom," Kate corrected. "These wanderers have avoided galactic civilization for centuries because they were afraid of being absorbed and controlled. Seeing humanity maintain independence while engaging with the Council has them reconsidering that position." Daniel made a decision. "Bring them to Unity Station. I will arrange a meeting with the Council. But Kate, we need to be careful. If we mess this up, we could damage their future." "We will not mess it up," Kate said confidently. "We know what it is like to face a Council that assumes it knows what is best for you. We will make sure the Wanderers get a fair deal." Over the next weeks, more reports came in. Human trading ships were making contact with isolated colonies that had limited Council interaction. Human scientists were collaborating with species that had been doing the same research the same way for centuries. Human explorers were finding new worlds and new opportunities. Everywhere humans went, they brought with them a simple but revolutionary idea. That species could govern themselves. That risk was necessary for growth. That freedom mattered more than safety. The Galactic Council watched it all happen, torn between concern and fascination. Some Council members argued that humanity was destabilizing carefully maintained order. Others suggested that maybe the order had been too carefully maintained. Daniel stood in the Council chamber once again, but this time the atmosphere was different. He was not a supplicant begging for recognition. He was an equal, speaking on behalf of humanity and, increasingly, on behalf of other species who saw humans as examples of what was possible. "The Wanderer species has asked to establish formal relations with the Council," Daniel reported. "They are willing to engage in trade, cultural exchange, and diplomatic relations. But they are not interested in protection protocols. They want the same deal humanity received, sovereignty with cooperation." Coordinator Veshetal considered this carefully. "If we grant the Wanderers the same terms we gave humanity, it sets a precedent. Every species will demand similar treatment." "Perhaps they should," Daniel replied. "Perhaps the protection protocols have outlived their usefulness. Perhaps it is time for the Council to trust species to make their own choices, their own mistakes, their own futures." "That is a dangerous philosophy," Representative Colton warned. "It is humanity's philosophy," Daniel agreed. "And we are still here. Thriving, in fact. Maybe danger is a necessary part of growth. Maybe playing it safe all the time is its own kind of danger." The debate continued, but Daniel could see that humanity had already won the larger argument. The galaxy was changing. The old certainties were being questioned. The careful control the Council had maintained for thousands of years was beginning to crack. Not breaking. Just cracking enough to let in some fresh air and new ideas. Daniel thought about Admiral Morrison out among the stars, making new friends and new discoveries. He thought about Ryan Harper and Lisa Chang, training the next generation of human explorers. He thought about all the humans on Earth and the colonies, building their futures without asking permission. The Galactic Council had claimed humans needed protection. They had been completely wrong. But in being wrong, they had learned something valuable. Sometimes the best way to help someone is to get out of their way and let them help themselves. Humanity had not set out to change the galaxy. They had just refused to accept limits. But in refusing those limits, they had shown everyone else that limits were choices rather than facts. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity was just getting started. Admiral Kate Morrison stood in the observation deck of the Roosevelt, watching Earth slowly rotate below her. 3 days had passed since the battle with the Unity Compliance Squadron. 3 long days of waiting while the Galactic Council argued about humanity's fate. 3 days of wondering if they would accept the message or try to prove their point with overwhelming force. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Harper approached with a tablet in his hands. Admiral, long-range sensors are picking up movement in the Unity fleet. The Eternal Harmony is changing position. Kate felt her muscles tense. This was the moment of truth. Either Talvek was preparing to leave, or he was getting ready to show humanity what real military power looked like. She had gambled everything on the Council blinking first. If she had guessed wrong, a lot of people were about to die. Her communicator made a sound. Daniel Brooks appeared on the small screen, his face carefully neutral. Admiral, the Council has made their decision. I have been asked to tell you formally. Kate took a slow breath. Go ahead, Ambassador. The Galactic Unity Council voted 487 to 212 to withdraw the protected species classification from humanity. The protection fleet will leave within the next day. Also, humanity is being granted provisional council membership. There will be a probationary period of 50 years, but we are recognized as a sovereign species. Kate allowed herself a moment of relief. Not everything they wanted, but far more than she had dared to hope for. What changed their minds? Daniel smiled slightly. Honestly, we terrified them. Not with our current military strength, but with our potential. Half the Council now sees humanity as a dangerous wild card. The other half sees us as something they lost a long time ago. Something they want to study and maybe learn from again. And which half won the vote? Both, in a way, Daniel explained. The ones who fear us want us where they can monitor us. The ones who admire us want to see what we become. Either way, we are now in control of our own destiny. The Roosevelt's bridge crew erupted in cheers that Kate could hear through the open door. She let them celebrate for a moment before bringing them back to order. There will be conditions, I assume. Many, Daniel confirmed. Weapons inspections, cultural observers, trade regulations. They are not giving us unlimited freedom, but they are acknowledging we have the right to govern ourselves and make our own choices. Kate looked out at the stars, thinking about all the human colonies scattered among them. All the people who would now grow up without alien oversight. Children who would be born into a humanity that answered only to itself. When do the Unity ships leave? Fleet Commander Talavek has asked permission to speak with you first. He says he wants to understand something. Kate raised an eyebrow but agreed. An hour later, the alien commander appeared on her bridge as a holographic projection. His segmented body looked as strange as ever, but his posture suggested something like respect. Admiral Morrison, Talavek began. I have spent 2 centuries enforcing protection protocols. I have pacified rebellions, stopped resistance movements, and guided 7 species toward what the Council considers proper civilization. In all that time, no species has ever successfully resisted our forces. I need to understand how humans did what should have been impossible. Kate considered her response carefully. Commander, when you arrived in our system, what did you see? A technologically primitive species with dangerous aggressive tendencies. Talvek replied without hesitation. Exactly, Kate said. You saw what you expected to see. You saw our limitations and assumed they defined us completely. But humanity has never been defined by what we have. We are defined by what we refuse to accept. I do not fully understand. Kate walked closer to the hologram. 500 years ago, humans believed the Earth was the center of the universe. We were wrong, so we changed our understanding. 400 years ago, we believed flying was impossible. We were wrong, so we built airplanes. 200 years ago, we believed we would destroy ourselves in nuclear fire. We were wrong because we chose to step back from that edge. Every time reality tells us something cannot be done, we change reality. Talvek's body segments clicked thoughtfully. This is the stubbornness your species is known for. We prefer to call it determination, Kate said with a slight smile. When you told us we needed protection, you made the same mistake everyone makes about humanity. You assumed we would accept your assessment of our capabilities. But we have spent our entire history proving assessments wrong. Every expert who said we could not do something became motivation to do exactly that thing. The Council believes your species is dangerous, Talvek said quietly. We are, Kate admitted without shame, but not in the way they think. We are dangerous to stagnation, to complacency, to the belief that the universe has fixed limits. Your Council has spent thousands of years protecting species into mediocrity. You have created a galaxy that is safe, stable, and completely without growth. Everyone is comfortable. Everyone follows the rules. Everyone stops pushing boundaries. And humanity will change this? Kate nodded. We will certainly try. Whether that turns out to be good or bad, time will tell. But I can promise you this. A galaxy with humans in it will never be boring. Talvek was quiet for a long moment. For 2 centuries, I believed I was saving species from destroying themselves. Now I wonder if I was simply making them safe enough to never truly live. Perhaps the Council was not wrong to protect species from external threats. Perhaps we were wrong to think protection and growth could coexist. It is a delicate balance, Kate agreed. Children need protection, but they also need to fall down sometimes. That is how they learn. That is how they grow. Your Council forgot that protecting someone from all risk also protects them from all opportunity. Come visit Earth sometime, Commander, Kate offered. Walk through our cities, meet our people, see what a species looks like when it refuses to be saved from itself. You might find it enlightening. You might even remember what your own species was like before the Council made everything safe. Perhaps I will, Talabek said. He sounded genuinely curious. The Unity fleet will depart within the hour. I am told we will be replaced by cultural observers and trade liaisons. I suspect you will find them far more frustrating than a military occupation. Kate laughed. Bureaucracy we can handle, Commander. We have been dealing with bureaucrats for thousands of years. It is the bureaucrats with warships we have a problem with. The hologram faded away. Kate stood alone on her bridge, looking at the stars that were now humanity's to explore without asking permission. Without oversight. Without limits except the ones they chose for themselves. They would make mistakes. They would probably alarm the Council on a regular basis. They would push boundaries and break rules and do all the things that young species do when given freedom. But they would do it as equals, not as children being guided by adults who thought they knew better. Ryan Harper joined her at the window. What do you think happens next, Admiral? Kate smiled. We explore. We build, we learn. We probably annoy a few thousand-year-old alien civilizations by refusing to follow their careful plans. We show the galaxy what humanity can accomplish when no one is holding us back. Sounds like a good plan. It is the only plan humanity has ever had, Kate said. Push forward. Never give up. Prove the impossible is possible. We did it on Earth for thousands of years. Now we get to do it across the entire galaxy. She watched the Unity fleet begin to move, pulling away from Earth orbit. Massive ships that had seemed so threatening just days ago now looked almost respectful as they departed. They had come to protect humanity. They had learned that humanity needed no protection. Admiral Kate Morrison thought about all the children being born at this exact moment. On Earth, on Mars, on distant colonies around other stars. They would grow up in a humanity that had fought for its freedom and won. They would inherit a future unlimited by anything except human imagination and determination. The galaxy had tried to protect them from themselves. The galaxy had been completely wrong, and now the real adventure could begin. The Emergency Council meeting started less than 4 hours after the battle at Earth. Coordinator Veshital stood in the center of the chamber, watching the tactical recording play for the 8th time. The human ships executing their trap with devastating efficiency. The Unity cruisers going dark, the fighters scrambling in confusion. It should not have been possible. This has never happened before, Representative Kolthan said. Their insect body rippled with agitation. A protected species has never resisted enforcement, never successfully engaged Unity forces. The entire protection system is based on having such overwhelming technological superiority that resistance is unthinkable. We still have that superiority, Counselor Mirasen pointed out. Her crystal body flickered uncertainly. Fleet Commander Talavek's report indicates he was caught by surprise. The humans exploited a tactical vulnerability. The fundamental power balance has not changed. Has it not? Asked Ambassador Sorkel of the Methian Ascendancy, one of the oldest species in the Council. We announced our arrival. We transmitted our fleet capabilities. We gave them 30 days to prepare. By every military doctrine in our archives, this should have broken their will to resist. Instead, they used our own certainty as a weapon against us. Veshtal expanded part of the tactical display, showing the moment the Roosevelt absorbed the electromagnetic pulse and converted it to weapon power. Our psychology experts are analyzing the human response. Their initial assessment is concerning. The display changed to show a human concept translated into galactic standard. Necessity is the mother of invention. Explain this, Kolthan demanded. Veshtal pulled up more data. Human mental development is heavily influenced by adversity. Where most species respond to overwhelming odds with submission or despair, humans show a trait they call stubbornness. When told something is impossible, their instinct is not to accept it but to prove it wrong. That is inefficient, Mirasan observed. It would waste enormous resources pursuing goals that cannot be achieved. And yet they developed faster than light travel in less than 3 centuries from their industrial revolution, Sorkal noted. They went from atmospheric flight to landing on their moon in 66 years. They survived a nuclear standoff that should have ended their species. Perhaps inefficiency is the wrong word for what they do. The chamber filled with debate in hundreds of languages. Veshital let it continue for several minutes before calling for silence. Fleet Commander Talvek requests new orders. He has enough forces to pacify Earth through sustained bombardment. But this would violate the core principles of protection protocols. We do not destroy the species we claim to save. Then we negotiate, suggested Colthan. We explain that their resistance proves our point. Their aggression shows they need guidance. I tried negotiating, Ambassador Daniel Brooks said. Everyone turned to look at the holographic projection that had appeared in the middle of the chamber. The human was not supposed to be here. This was a closed session. Only council members were allowed. This is a closed meeting, Veshtal said weakly. Daniel smiled. And humanity has been practicing signals intelligence since the 20th century. Did you really think we would not monitor council transmissions? You are debating whether to destroy us or try again to conquer us. I am here to offer a third option. You have no position to make offers, Mirasan said coldly. Then please explain how we accessed your secure council network. Daniel challenged. Go ahead. Check your systems. We have not damaged anything. But we left markers showing we were inside your databases, your fleet deployments, your communication protocols. While you were analyzing our psychology, we were analyzing your computer architecture. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Security protocols should have made the council systems impossible to breach. The technology gap was supposed to be absolute. This cannot be real, Colthan insisted. You keep saying things are impossible, Daniel replied. That word does not mean what you think it means. Not when applied to humans. Veshtal felt a cold certainty settling in. What is this third option you mentioned, Ambassador? Simple, Daniel said. Withdraw your protection fleet. Declare humanity a sovereign species. Grant us full council membership. Stop treating us like children and start treating us as equals. Absurd, Mirasan said. You are technologically inferior, militarily insignificant, and have proven yourselves dangerously aggressive. Why would we grant you equality? Daniel's expression became serious. Because the alternative is war. Not the kind of war you think you would win easily. A war where humanity uses every trick, every exploit, every desperate innovation we can think of. Yes, you have better ships. But we have 30 billion people who spent their entire evolutionary history surviving impossible odds. You can destroy our worlds, but we are already spreading through space faster than you realize. You can hunt our colonies. But every year you spend doing that, we will be learning, adapting, building. Your protection fleet might crush us today. But what about in 10 years, 20? How long before your technological advantage means nothing against human determination? You would doom your species to make a point? Sorkal asked quietly. No, Daniel said firmly. We would fight for our freedom because that is what humans do. It is built into us. But I am not proposing mutual destruction. I am proposing partnership. You have 5,000 years of accumulated knowledge. We have something you have forgotten. The hunger that drove you to the stars in the first place. The willingness to take risks. The refusal to accept limits. Together we could benefit everyone. Veshital considered the human's words carefully. The logical choice seemed obvious. Humanity was a threat, uncontrolled and unpredictable. They should be suppressed now before they developed further, but logic had not predicted their resistance. Logic had not anticipated them weaponizing Unity technology in 30 days. Logic had not expected them to hack council systems that were supposed to be impenetrable. Logic might not be enough when dealing with a species that treated impossibility as motivation rather than limitation. What guarantee can you offer that humanity will not become a threat? Veshtal asked. Daniel thought for a moment. None. We cannot promise we will never disagree with the council. We cannot promise we will always follow your rules. We cannot promise we will not push boundaries and take risks. But I can promise this. If you treat us as equals, if you respect our sovereignty, if you work with us instead of trying to control us, humanity will be the most loyal ally you have ever had. We value freedom above everything else. A council that protects freedom rather than restricting it would earn our complete support. And if we refuse? Mirasan asked. Then you will spend the next several centuries learning a very expensive lesson about human persistence, Daniel said. Your choice. The hologram disappeared. Veshetal looked around the chamber at the hundreds of species represented, all of them protected into existence, guided into civilization, sheltered from harsh realities, all of them safe, all of them stagnant, all of them following the same paths because the council had decided those paths were best. Humanity was offering something different, something dangerous, something that could change everything. We will vote, Veshetal announced. The question before the council is simple. Do we continue attempting to protect humanity through force? Or do we grant them sovereignty and accept them as equals? The debate lasted for hours. Some argued that letting humans go free would set a dangerous precedent. Others pointed out that the protection protocols had clearly failed. A few suggested complete extermination as the only safe option. That suggestion was quickly rejected. The council did not commit genocide. Finally, the vote was called. 487 in favor of granting sovereignty, 212 against. The decision was made. Veshetal announced the result, feeling uncertain about the future for the first time in a very long life. Humanity will be granted provisional sovereignty. Protection protocols are withdrawn. Full council membership will be granted after a probationary period of 50 years. Fleet Commander Talvek will withdraw his forces within 1 standard day. The chamber emptied slowly, representatives discussing what this meant. Veshetal remained, staring at the empty space where Daniel Brooks's hologram had been. The galaxy was about to change. Whether for better or worse, only time would tell. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Harper held tight to his seat as the Roosevelt shook from another hit. The alien attack ships were everywhere, moving through space like dancers. They made Earth's best pilots look slow and clumsy. Every time Ryan thought he had a shot lined up, the alien ship was already gone, moving to a new position before he could fire. Shields down to 40%, called out Lisa Chang from her station. She was the tactical officer, responsible for weapons and defenses. They are not trying to destroy us, just disable us. Ryan pulled hard on the controls, spinning the Roosevelt in a move that would have impressed any human opponent. Against the Unity fighters, it just bought him a few extra seconds. How nice of them, he muttered. Admiral Morrison's voice came through the ship-wide speaker system. Every person on every deck could hear her calm, steady voice. All hands, this is the Admiral. We will not win this fight with better ships, but we are not trying to win that way. We are trying to teach them something. Hold your positions for 90 seconds, Ryan frowned. 90 seconds felt like forever in a space battle. Ships could die in 90 seconds. You heard the Admiral, he called to his squadron. Keep them busy. The Roosevelt fired thousands of small metal pellets from its defense guns. The cloud of tungsten created a deadly barrier that forced the alien fighters to change their approach. It was a delaying tactic. Nothing more. The aliens were already adapting, shifting their formation to avoid the worst of it. Ryan watched his countdown timer. 70 seconds left. The Unity fighters kept coming, their movements perfectly coordinated. 60 seconds. The Roosevelt's shields flickered under sustained fire. 50 seconds. Ryan could see 3 large Unity cruisers moving into position around them. 30 seconds, Morrison announced. Her voice was still calm. Ryan knew what was coming. The 3 cruisers were charging their electromagnetic pulse weapons. One massive coordinated strike that would fry every electronic system on the Roosevelt without blowing a hole in the hull. Very precise, very professional, very predictable. 10 seconds. Ryan gripped his controls tighter. Whatever the plan was, it better be good. The 3 Unity cruisers fired at the exact same moment. Waves of electromagnetic energy hit the Roosevelt from 3 directions, creating a sphere of destructive force that should have turned the ship into a dead piece of metal floating in space. Ryan felt the lights flicker. His screens went black. The gravity generators stuttered, making his stomach lurch. For 2 seconds, the Roosevelt was completely dead. Then everything came back on. Lights, screens, weapons, shields, everything. Gotcha, Admiral Morrison said with clear satisfaction in her voice. Ryan's tactical display lit up with new contacts. Dozens of them. Ships appearing out of nowhere. Not actually nowhere, Ryan realized. They had been hiding in the asteroid belt, powered down so completely that they looked like dead rocks. 32 Earth Defense Force ships had been waiting there the whole time, waiting for this exact moment. But that was not the surprising part. The surprising part was what those ships were doing. Each one had captured the electromagnetic pulse energy from the Unity weapons, stored it in special capacitors that human engineers had built in the last 30 days. 30 days of round-the-clock work based on analyzing every transmission the Unity fleet had sent. In the 60 seconds that the Unity fleet had focused all its attention on the Roosevelt, humanity's supposedly primitive ships had absorbed enough energy to charge weapons that should not exist. All ships, Morrison commanded, fire. Beams of concentrated electromagnetic energy shot out from 32 human ships simultaneously, not at the hulls of the Unity cruisers but at specific targets: shield generators, sensor arrays, weapon ports, communications equipment, surgical strikes that turned the 3 advanced alien ships into blind, defenseless metal boxes floating in space. Ryan heard Fleet Commander Talvek's voice over the emergency channels. The alien sounded shocked. Impossible. Those weapons should not exist. Your technology is centuries away from being able to build directed electromagnetic disruptors, Admiral Morrison answered, and Ryan could hear the smile in her voice. You are right, Commander. We could not have built these weapons 6 months ago, but you announced you were coming 30 days in advance. You sent us your demands. You even transmitted your complete fleet composition and capabilities to intimidate us. Did you think we would spend that month planning surrender ceremonies? Ryan could hear the moment Talvek understood. You weaponized our own technology. Every transmission you sent, every scanner pulse, every sensor sweep. We recorded everything, analyzed it all, and built weapons specifically designed to exploit your systems. You might have 5,000 years of advancement, Commander, but we have something you lost a long time ago. We remember how to adapt when survival depends on it. The Unity fighter squadrons were trying to regroup, but their careful coordination was broken. Human fighters, primitive as they were, pressed forward with an aggressiveness that clearly shocked the alien pilots. The humans were not trying to win through better technology. They were winning through sheer determination and willingness to take risks the aliens would never consider. Ryan watched as a Unity fighter tried to disengage, only to have 2 human ships pursue it with reckless abandon. The human pilots were flying in ways that violated every safety protocol, pushing their ships beyond recommended limits. It was dangerous. It was barely controlled. It was working. All Unity forces withdraw to Rally Point Delta, Talvek ordered. His voice had lost its confident tone. This engagement is concluded. Admiral Morrison had one more message for the retreating aliens. Run back to your command ship, Commander. Tell your council what happened here. Tell them that humanity does not need protection. Tell them we survived ice ages and diseases and world wars and nuclear weapons. We clawed our way from caves to the stars through nothing but determination. And tell them that if they insist on treating us like children, we will teach them the kind of lesson only children know how to deliver. Ryan let himself smile as the Unity fleet pulled back beyond Mars' orbit. It was not a complete victory. They had driven off 1 attack squadron, nothing more. The Eternal Harmony alone could still reduce Earth to smoking rubble if Talvek gave the order. But that missed the point. The point was that humanity had bloodied the nose of a supposedly invincible opponent. The point was that the galaxy's protectors had just learned that humans do not surrender easily. The point was that 30 days was enough time for humanity to turn a hopeless situation into a fighting chance. Lisa Chang was running damage reports. Shields at 18%. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. Nothing critical. Casualties are minimal. Get repair crews on it, Ryan ordered. Then he opened a channel to the other human ships. All vessels, report status. One by one, the ships checked in. Damage across the fleet, but nothing catastrophic. They had survived the first real test against alien technology. More importantly, they had won. Ryan looked at the tactical display showing the Unity fleet regrouping in the distance. This was just the beginning. Talvek would report back to his superiors. The Galactic Council would have to decide what to do about a protected species that refused to be protected. But humanity had already won the most important battle. They had shown the galaxy that they were not victims waiting to be saved. They were survivors who had earned their place among the stars through blood and sweat and stubborn refusal to accept limits. The Roosevelt and her sister ships held position, ready for whatever came next. Ready to fight again if necessary. ready to defend humanity's right to make its own choices, its own mistakes, its own destiny. Ryan Harper settled back in his pilot seat, feeling pride surge through him. The war might just be starting, but humanity had already proven something crucial to the entire galaxy. They were not children who needed protection. They were equals who demanded respect. The massive alien ship floated at the edge of the solar system, near the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The ship was called Eternal Harmony, and it was bigger than any city on Earth. Its dark metal hull reflected the distant sunlight, making it look like a small moon that had wandered into the wrong place. Fleet Commander Talvek stood in the observation room, watching Earth through the clear wall. The blue and green planet looked peaceful and beautiful from this distance. He had done this job 7 times before with other species. It always went the same way. Show up with overwhelming force. Make demands. Watch the primitives realize they have no choice. Accept their surrender. Begin the protection protocols. This should be simple. A young officer named Yintok approached with a datapad. Commander, we have finished scanning the human military. Their biggest ship is called Roosevelt. It is only 0.3% the size of our flagship. Their weapons are basic. Metal projectiles and simple fusion bombs. Nothing that can threaten us. Talvek nodded slowly. Where are their ships positioned? Yintok checked the pad. They are spread out. 47 ships total. 15 near Earth, 12 at Mars, 8 at Jupiter. The rest are scattered at smaller colonies. They have not grouped together for defense. Because they understand they cannot win, Talvek said. He had seen this before. Smart species recognized when they were outmatched. What are the humans saying on their communication networks? Another officer named Leshinar answered. The human governments have sent formal protests, but they accept the Council's authority. However, their public networks are very active. The most common phrase translates to hell no. Talvek's translator struggled with the human words. Meaning? It means they refuse to accept this, Leshinar explained. Humans seem to resist authority they think is unfair, even when resistance is pointless. Talvek had heard this before too. Young species always wanted to make brave speeches before accepting reality. They will adjust. Send the standard message to all human channels. The message went out across every frequency humanity used. Every radio, every computer, every phone on Earth, and all the colonies received it. Talvek had given this same speech 7 times before. He knew it by heart. People of Earth and her colonies, this is Fleet Commander Talvek of the Galactic Unity Protection Fleet. We are not here to conquer you. We are here to protect you. The Council has decided that humanity needs guidance during its development. This is not punishment. This is preservation. All military ships must power down their weapons immediately. All colonies will receive peacekeeping forces. You must comply. Fighting serves no purpose. You are safe now. You are protected. Talvek expected the human leaders to respond with reluctant acceptance. Maybe some angry words, but ultimately agreement. What he got instead surprised him. A woman's face appeared on every screen in the alien fleet. She had brown hair tied back in a military style. Her uniform was neat and clean. Her eyes were calm but hard. The name badge read Admiral Kate Morrison, Earth Defense Force. Fleet Commander Talvek, this is Admiral Kate Morrison. I received your message. However, I must inform you that humanity declines your protection. Talvek felt confusion. Decline? Admiral Morrison, you misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. The Council has made its decision. It is final. Kate's expression did not change. I understand perfectly, Commander. You came here to take away our weapons, occupy our worlds, and treat us like children for 500 years. I am telling you that will not happen. Admiral, the Eternal Harmony alone has 300 times the firepower of your entire fleet. We have 57 additional ships. You cannot fight us, that might be true, Kate said calmly. But you are forgetting something important about humanity, Commander. We did not ask the galaxy for permission to reach the stars. We did not wait for anyone to say we were ready. We went to space because it is in our nature to push past every limit. No council, no matter how old or powerful, will take that away from us. Talvek tried to make sense of this. You would choose destruction over protection? This proves you need guidance. No, Commander, Kate said with a small smile. This is the logical response of a species that earned its place among the stars. You want our ships? Come and take them. The screen went black. Talvek stood in silence. In 200 years of service, he had never seen this. Protected species might complain. They might be unhappy. But they always surrendered when they saw the fleet. Always, Commander, Yintok said quietly. What should we do? Talvek thought about his options. The human fleet was no match for Unity forces. This defiance was meaningless theater. The Admiral was probably trying to look brave for her people before accepting the inevitable. He would show them why resistance was foolish, and then they would surrender like all the others. Send the attack squadrons, he ordered. Target the Roosevelt first. Disable its engines and weapons. Do not destroy it. We will demonstrate that fighting is pointless. Then they will accept protection. Small fighter craft launched from the Eternal Harmony. Sleek and fast, they moved toward human space like a swarm of silver insects. Talvek watched them go, feeling confident. This would be over in minutes. The humans would see their best ship disabled and the fight would leave them. He had pacified 3 wars, stopped a dozen rebellions, and supervised protection for 7 species. This was routine work, but something bothered him. Admiral Morrison had been too calm. Too confident, like she knew something he did not. Talvek tried to ignore the feeling. What could humans know that would matter? They were centuries behind in technology. They had no secret weapons. They had nothing that could threaten Unity forces. The attack squadrons reached Mars orbit, moving toward the Roosevelt. The human ship and its small escort began evasive maneuvers. Primitive but energetic. They were trying hard, which was admirable in a pointless sort of way. Talvek watched the battle unfold on his screens. His fighters moved with precision, avoiding the clumsy human counterattacks easily. 3 Unity cruisers moved into position around the Roosevelt. They would hit it with an electromagnetic pulse that would shut down every system without destroying the ship. Very precise. Very controlled. 30 seconds to firing position, reported the tactical officer. Talvek nodded. This was going exactly as planned. In 30 seconds, the Roosevelt would be a dead ship floating in space. Then the humans would understand. Then they would accept protection. He had no idea that those 30 seconds would change everything. He had no idea that humanity had spent the last 30 days doing what humans do best. Learning. Adapting. Planning. Preparing to teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. Admiral Morrison was right about one thing. The Unity was about to learn something important about humanity, but it was not a lesson they wanted to learn. The fighters closed in. The cruisers powered up their weapons. Everything was proceeding perfectly. Talvek would soon discover that when dealing with humans, perfect plans meant nothing. The council chamber stretched wide across the space station, bigger than any building Daniel Brooks had ever seen on Earth. Hundreds of alien beings sat in floating seats that circled around a central platform. Some looked like giant insects, others like living crystals, and some were so strange that Daniel could not even describe them properly. They all stared down at him as he stood alone in the middle of the room. Daniel wore his best gray suit, the one he saved for important meetings. It felt very plain compared to the colorful and glowing bodies of the aliens around him. He had been waiting for this moment for 6 months. 6 long months of meetings, paperwork, and presentations, all to prove one simple thing. Humanity did not need babysitters. The leader of the council was called Coordinator Veshital. Their voice came through a small device that translated the alien sounds into English. The voice sounded flat and cold, like a computer reading a grocery list. The motion has passed. Humanity is now listed as a protected species under our preservation laws. Starting today, all human space is marked as a restricted zone. Daniel felt his stomach drop. This was the worst possible outcome. Coordinator, I need to object to this decision. Humans invented faster than light travel by ourselves. We have built homes on 17 different planets. Our nations have been at peace for more than 100 years. Why do you think we need protection? A sound like clicking laughter filled the chamber. One of the insect-like aliens leaned forward. Its name was Kolthan, and Daniel had debated with it many times before. Ambassador Brooks, your species only learned to travel between stars 34 years ago. The youngest species in this council has been traveling space for 6,000 years. You are like babies playing with matches. Daniel felt anger rising in his chest but kept his voice calm. Babies who learned to make fire on their own. Another alien spoke up. This one looked like a woman made of clear crystal. Her name was Mirasen. That is exactly why you need our help. Humans have fought in 472 wars in the last 200 years. Your aggression level is very high. Any species with your violence rating automatically needs protection. Daniel kept his hands behind his back so no one could see them shaking. Those wars happened before we united as one world, before we made the peace treaty. We have grown beyond our violent history. Veshital made a sound that the translator called a sigh. Every young species thinks they have evolved past their problems. The protection rules exist because we have seen it happen before. 17 emerging species have destroyed themselves. We will not let humans become number 18. Daniel knew what was coming next, but he asked anyway. He wanted everyone to hear it clearly. What does this protection include? Veshital began listing the rules. All human military ships will be taken apart. Human colonies will have our peacekeepers watching over them. You cannot research advanced weapons anymore. We will control how you use natural resources. We will send teachers to help humanity learn peaceful ways. This is for your own good. The words hit Daniel like punches. You are describing an invasion and calling it protection. Mirazan's crystal body seemed to glow brighter. We are describing how we will save you. In 500 years, when humanity is mature enough, we will reconsider these rules. Until then, you will be safe. You will be guided toward a better future. Daniel looked around the massive chamber. Hundreds of alien eyes watched him. Some looked sorry for him. Most looked like they did not care. A few seemed to enjoy seeing him defeated. He thought about Earth, about the colonies on Mars, about the mining stations near Jupiter, about the teams making new worlds livable near other stars. He thought about Admiral Kate Morrison and her fleet. He thought about the scientists pushing humanity forward. He thought about children born in space who had never walked on Earth. This council is making a terrible mistake, Daniel said loudly. His voice echoed in the huge room. You look at humanity and see a problem that needs to be controlled. You should have looked more carefully. Veshital waved a limb dismissively. Your objection is recorded and denied. The Unity Protection Fleet will arrive at Earth in 30 days. We suggest you prepare your people for the changes. If you resist, we will use force to make you comply. The platform Daniel stood on began to sink into the floor. The meeting was over. As he descended, he saw 2 other human ambassadors in the observation area. Chen Wei from China and Lucia Martinez from the Pan-American Union watched him with serious faces. Their expressions told him they were thinking the same thing he was. The Galactic Unity had just made a very big mistake. They thought they knew what humanity was capable of. They thought humans would accept this decision because the aliens had bigger ships and better weapons. They thought wrong. Daniel rode the platform down into a lower level. His mind was already working on the next steps. The council had given them 30 days. 30 days might not sound like much time, but humans had done incredible things in much less time. When faced with impossible challenges, humanity had a special talent. They got creative. The translator device in his ear beeped. A message from Admiral Morrison. Just 3 words. We got this. Daniel allowed himself a small smile. The council thought this was over. They thought humanity would bow down and accept their rules. They would soon learn that humans had a different response to being told what they could and could not do. Earth's history was full of examples. When people said humans could not fly, the Wright brothers built an airplane. When people said going to the moon was impossible, astronauts planted a flag there. When nuclear war threatened to end everything, humanity stepped back from the edge and chose peace. Every time someone said humans could not do something, humans proved them wrong. The Galactic Unity was about to learn that lesson the hard way. They had given humanity 30 days to prepare. They probably expected humans to spend that time getting ready to surrender. They would be shocked to discover what humanity could accomplish when properly motivated. Daniel stepped off the platform and walked toward the human section of the station. He had calls to make, messages to send, plans to coordinate. The council had made its decision. Now humanity would make its response. The aliens thought humans needed protection. They were completely wrong. And in 30 days they would begin to understand just how wrong they were.